What is going on, everybody? Chris with Journos Comics and Pop Culture, and we're here today counting down 5 through 1 of the top 10 comics to invest in before Fantastic Four makes their MCU debut. I'm telling you, I'm excited about this. You guys have been waiting for like a week now to get to this bottom 5. So here's how it's gonna work. As always, the lower we get in the count with these books, the hotter these books are going to get. We're going to be looking at current fair market value. We're also going to be looking at fair market value from 5 years ago. And those that have increased the largest in value are going to be lower and lower. All right. Now, I do want to give a big shout out to today's sponsor, the Otis app. We're going to get into the first 2 books, and then I'm going to take a couple of minutes to discuss and talk about the Otis app before we get into the top 3. Now, before we get into the first couple of books, though, of course, if you aren't subscribed to the channel, please take some time to do so and check out all the awesome links in the description below, including how you can become a Patreon member of the channel for only $3.99 a month, or how you can become a YouTube member of the channel for only $1.99 a month by clicking that join button below. Both memberships get you guys awesome monthly perks. You can also catch the link to my official Journos Comics merch, and of course the link to our Comic Book Canon YouTube channel, where we have live shows every Friday night. All right, are we ready for this? Now, if you haven't watched the first video in this series where I counted down 10 through 6, I definitely recommend you guys going and checking out that video and coming back and being with me here to count down 5 through 1. But let's get right into it, starting out with number 5 on the list. All right, we have Fantastic Four, number 19. This is the first appearance of Rama Tut, an incarnation of Kang. All right, let's look at these numbers, and then I'm going to talk about why this book's on the list. Current CGC, 8.5 fair market value, $1,254, all right? 5 years ago, 2016, sitting at about $550. What kind of increase in that? A good one, right? That's a 128% increase in value. That is solid. It's more than doubled in value over the last 5 years. Now let's talk about raw books here. Average raw, $382. What does average raw mean? It means that from all the raw books that were sold, you calculate the total sales dollars and you divide it by the amount of books sold, and that's your average raw. It's not specific to a grade. It simply means, this is what I live by, you most likely can find some grade of this book around that $382 mark. This being a Silver Age book, you know, you probably are looking at more of a lower end, a low mid-grade book at around that value right now. You look at high raw, 791, so that's the highest valued raw book that's been sold recently. I can't tell you what grade that was in. Again, this is an early 12-cent book, so most likely it probably wasn't an extremely high grade being in raw. All right, so why is this book on the list for me? For me, it's because, one, we know Kang is coming, right? We know that time travel right now is a big thing in the MCU. We saw, of course, what happened in Endgame, and we see what's going on in the Loki show right now. No spoilers, of course, but you know, we're dealing with the TVA and time travel. Plain and simple. Rama Tut, the incarnation of Kang. All right, as you can see on the cover of the book, the Pharaoh from the future. Now, I won't give anything away in terms of, if folks want to go back and you haven't read these stories or you don't know much about the character, you want to do that research on your own. But we know Kang's coming, and this is something to where we might be able to see Kang in this incarnation somewhere in the near future of the MCU. So I think this is a solid spec book. Of course, it's the early Fantastic Four, so as you see here, it doesn't need movie hype to continue to increase in value, and it's already a decently large ticket book. But if we see Kang, aka Rama Tut, in the MCU, watch for this book to skyrocket. All right, we're going to move on to number 4 on the list, and that is Thor 225. This is the only book on this top 10 list that's not a Fantastic Four book. All right, Thor 225. This is the first appearance of Fire Lord, Herald of Galactus. So, you ask me, why is this book on the list? Well, right there. Herald of Galactus. Let's look at the numbers, and then I'm going to talk about the book. Current CGC 9.6 fair market value sitting at about $635. 5 years ago, $219. That is a 190% increase in value. It is almost tripled in value in that grade. Woo! All right. Fire Lord isn't the only thing that's on fire here, right? Average raw, sitting at about $55. 25-cent Bronze Age book. You know, you could probably find a decent mid-grade for around the $55 mark. All right. High raw, $190. So, why do I have this book on the list? I know that we saw, well, technically we didn't see, did we see? I don't know if we even saw him. In the Fox film, the second Fantastic Four film, Rise of the Silver Surfer, whatever that was, call it Galactus, I don't even know. I thought they did a decent job of Silver Surfer, of course, but Galactus is another whole other conversation. And I always talk about how I know Kevin Feige wants to do things differently. He doesn't want to just carbon copy things that have been done. Like we talked about the X-Men. He's going to make the X-Men come in and look differently. We're not just going to see exactly what we saw over the last 20 years with the Fox X-Men. But here's the thing. With the MCU going more and more cosmic, I absolutely believe that we are going to see Galactus sooner than later. Now, we might not see him in the first Fantastic Four movie, but I do believe Galactus is going to be hinted at least over the next few years of the MCU. And if we get any type of hint like that, especially dropped in the Fantastic Four movie when that comes out, oh my goodness. I mean, personally, for me as a collector, I'm already looking at Galactus books simply because this is a big galactic, cosmic character that I think is, you know, you put two and two together, I think he's going to show up at some point. So that's why I have this book on the list. It's still a very, very affordable book. And one thing that I think that Kevin Feige and team will do if we see Galactus in the MCU, we might get introduced to different heralds throughout different times instead of just being introduced to, oh, here's Galactus and here's Silver Surfer. Boom. Right? I mean, how cliche. That's what they did in the Fox films. I think we're going to spread it out. And we're going to get little tastes here and there. And a lot of those tastes are going to have to do with heralds of Galactus. So this is a good one. Still a very affordable one as well. All right, everyone. We have a very, very exciting top 3 books. But before we get into those books, please take 2 minutes to let me sit here today and talk about our sponsor, the Otis app.
So what is Otis, you ask? Otis is a stock market for cultural assets where almost anyone can buy and sell shares of rare collectibles, sneakers, and art. And of course, the one thing that you and I love, comic books. They have hundreds of rare items to choose from, and new assets are indeed added every single week. So you ask how it works. First, you got to download the app, sign up free to follow the weekly drops, buy shares of the latest drops directly from Otis, or buy shares from past drops from other Otis members. You could then earn a potential return by selling your shares to other Otis members, or if Otis sells the underlying asset for more than the price at which you bought your shares, that's the way that you could get money back in your pocket. We're going to take a look at the thing that you and I love the most, some of the comic books that are available. You can see here, we got Daredevil #1, Incredible Hulk 181, Avengers #1, all kind of blue chip keys. Let's look at Giant Size X-Men #1. You can see what it's done over the last 6 months, $105 a share. You can see the growth there. It gives you financial details, looking at what the stock has been doing and how it's been trending. You can also see more details about the asset itself. It gives you a brief history of the book itself, gives you publication date. It even gives you recent news. So if there's speculation news about why the book is either trending upward or downward. For example, let's check out Tomb of Dracula #10. $52 a share. That's up $27 per share over the last 6 months. That is awesome. Of course, we can look at the stats, and we know what's relating to this book being hot right now. We have the Blade film coming out. So you can see here, recent news, all the recent announcements of the Blade film and what that's doing for this asset. So again, it's free to sign up. And of course, if you sign up using the link in my description, you can get your first share for free when you fund your account. And of course, terms apply. But I checked it out. I've been watching these stocks every single day. I definitely recommend you all taking a moment to do the same.
All right. I know everyone is ready to get to the top 3 books. So let's get right into it. Number 3 on the list is Fantastic Four. Number 211. This is the first appearance of Terrax. Who's Terrax? A Herald of Galactus. Are you all seeing a theme here, huh? This book has been hot, though. This book has been hot. As I'm filming this video, or as you guys, when you guys are watching this video, this book might have increased even more in value because, like I said, this one's been on fire. Current CGC 9.6 fair market value sitting at $375, okay? 5 years ago, $117, right? That's more than 3 times the increase in value. Average raw, $27, so you can still find a book out there in some grade for a decent, affordable value, right? High raw sitting at about $60, or as the time of filming this, there was a high raw sale of $60. So this is a later Bronze Age, a 40-cent Bronze Age books. Again, what did I say about Firelord? This is another situation where I don't want to repeat myself, but I am. I believe Galactus is imperative to the cosmic nature and the cosmic future of the MCU. And let's sprinkle in some Heralds of Galactus here and there before we get this big climactic, there he is, Galactus, destroyer of worlds, okay? So Terrax is another one. I mean, these Heralds of Galactus can show up in Thor movies. They could show up in future Guardians of the Galaxy movies, Eternals movies. I mean, there's Nova movies. There's just so much that could be done with where the MCU is headed. So again, that's why I have another book of another Herald of Galactus on this list. All right, are we ready for book number 2? And that is Fantastic Four 244. The first appearance of Frankie Ray as the second Nova, Herald of Galactus. I'm telling you, folks, I'm big on it. And these are just my personal opinions. So let me take a moment to talk about my personal opinions. And what do I say every time I do these top 10 videos? I like to focus on books that aren't necessarily like the big keys that everyone is already talking about, right? I like to look at some books that are more decently affordable and maybe some books that aren't being talked about by every other YouTuber. And I'm not here to twist your hand and tell you all to buy them. I'm here to deliver fact and data sprinkled in with my own personal opinion. If you guys aren't enjoying these characters and loving these characters, or finding something where you're willing to make the investment in these books and you're not willing to take the risk in the investments, then don't buy them if they're not for you. I'm not here to twist your hand to tell you to do anything. But look, this is another book that's hot. And I know this is all speculation. We don't know when Galactus can show up, if he shows up. We don't know if any of these heralds are going to show up or if they're ever going to show up. But I put the pieces together, and I am going to assume that this is one avenue that I think Feige and team is going to make happen sooner than later. So again, let's look at these numbers, because this is another book that has just been on fire. Current CGC 9.8. Now, of course, the 9.8 market itself is on fire. So that book right now is sitting at about $727, okay? I think there was a sale that broke over $900, all right? 5 years ago, $160. That's a 354% increase in sales. That's huge, right? But look at these raw numbers. Average raw sitting at about $15. So what does that tell you? This book is still extremely affordable, at least in some grade. But look at this high raw compared to a 9.8 CGC. $60. $60. So, and this is what I tell people, when they're looking at buying in a 9.8, there's a lot of books out there, especially books with spec value. you could try to find a raw book that's in a really nice near mint condition and, take it, spend a little money to press and clean it, and try to submit it to CGC or CBS or EGS yourself and try to get that 9.8, and you can really flip that your investment. So, don't always go out and hunt the 9.8s, especially when they're hot on the market. But look, this book with Frankie Ray, incorporating the Novas and a Herald of Galactus, definitely something that I see playing out in the future. And quite honestly, out of all the Heralds that I've talked about, I believe this is probably the most feasible one, maybe outside of another cliche one that I haven't brought up. So I'm speculating hard on this book personally, for this character to show up in the MCU. I would say maybe within the next 3 or 4 years, because we know we got Guardians coming up, which could incorporate more of the Nova Corps, and then of course with the Fantastic Four film coming down the line as well. So hey, look, this is another book where you might be able to find it for a solid price in your back issue bins as well. Find a decent higher grade copy for under $10 if they're sitting in the back issue bins of some of your LCSs. So, all right, everyone, we have one more book on this list. Are you all ready for it? I know I am. What can it be? What will it be? Number one of the top 10 Fantastic Four books to invest in before they make their MCU debut is... Oh man, I went and did it. Fantastic Four, number 48, the first appearance of Silver Surfer and first appearance of Galactus in Cameo. Okay, before I get into the numbers, let me explain myself. I just said it a couple minutes ago, and I say it in all my videos that I make like this. I don't like to be cliche. I like to think outside of the box. What are some books that nobody's talking about? What are some books that are still affordable that the average collector can spend? And I put a lot of those books on this list. But guys, I couldn't make this list without this book. I couldn't. All right. It goes back to what I've been saying about Galactus. And I'm big on Silver Surfer as well. I am. And like I said, we may not see them show up in a first Fantastic Four film, but I absolutely think the MCU has to bring these two characters in, and the MCU has to do them right. Just like Fantastic Four, I think, a lot of us have just been yearning for Fantastic Four to come home to Marvel Studios so we can get a live action film done right, because we've been screwed so many times. That's why this book is on this list, folks. Let's look at these numbers, because boy, has this book been something. Current CGC 8.5 fair market value, $13,100. 5 years ago, $1,015. What is that in terms of increase? A 1,191% increase. Wow. I do believe this is the biggest increase that I've seen in all of my top 10 videos. Unfathomable. Wow. Look, I was telling you all back in 2018, 2019 that I'm going after these books. And I did. 48 and 49 and 50. I knew, because at that time they were already increasing in value at a decently rapid pace. And then they've just blown up, and they are holding their weight right now. And what did I call them? What did I call them 3+ years ago? I said, these are Silver Age books that haven't got their due. These are Silver Age books that are, I think, going to be in the same category as your your Amazing Spider-Man number 1s, Amazing Fantasy 15s, although that's the Grail of the Grail, right? But your giant size X-Men number 1, although that's Bronze Age, but your Avengers number 1 and Avengers number 4. I said that this book, especially 48, is going to be in that category. And look at that, an 8.5 now at a $13,000 book. It's proving to be as such. So that's why I have this book at #1 on the list, simply because it has been on absolute fire. And I just absolutely think it is inevitable that we're going to see these characters in the MCU at some point in time. And Kevin Feige and team are going to do them right. Now, before I wrap up, I do want to thank all my members, but I want to say one thing as well before you all turn this video off. I said this at the end of part 1 where I counted down 10 through 6. You all did not see a very, very important villain that's very, very important to the history of Fantastic Four. You didn't see one book on this list that correlated to that character. And most of you probably know what character that is. And I'm just going to say that is Doctor Doom. Now, I did this on purpose. And again, this is my humble opinion. I do believe that one thing Kevin Feige isn't going to do. I don't think Kevin Feige is going to bring in Doctor Doom and correlate him with Fantastic Four right away, simply because we saw it done in the two first Fox films, and then in the reboot in 2014, right? When that film came out. I don't think Feige's going to do that. I actually have a hunch that Doctor Doom and Latveria and everything related to that is going to be introduced separately for Fantastic Four. And I even think Doctor Doom might be released and introduced separately from Fantastic Four. I think Latveria might be correlated with Fantastic Four in the universe first before we even see Doctor Doom. These are all my hunches and all my personal opinions. Obviously, I have no idea. I'm just guessing. So I had to throw that out there for all you Doctor Doom fans or Fantastic Four fans thinking, Journal, you didn't have one Doctor Doom book on the list. What is wrong with you? Well, I hope I just explained myself. All right, everyone. Let me know what you thought of the list below. Let me know which books that you all have in your collection. Let me know which books you guys are hunting for right now. And let me know which books you all thought should have been on this list. All right. And before I go, as always, big shout out to all of my members. First and foremost, to my Patreon members. I appreciate all of you each and every month. Big shout out to Timothy W. for winning the last Patreon only contest. Tim, I appreciate you. Congrats to you. We are going to be having another contest, most likely at the end of July. It's going to be for an amazing Silver Age slab book. So I can't wait to talk more about that and pick a winner there. If you all are interested in possibly becoming a Patreon member, that link is below. I also, though, have to give a big shout out to all my YouTube channel members who, of course, support me each and every month as well. I did do a contest. Big shout out to X11 Bravo for winning that contest. I do smaller end contests for my YouTube members. We'll probably have another one coming up next month as well, where I'll give a little something away. And again, that's only $1.99 a month. If you guys are interested in joining there, that link is below, where you hit that join link and it'll give you all the description of the perks that you get with your membership. So again, I want to give a big thank you as well to the Otis app. I think it's definitely very, very worth it for you all to check the Otis link below as well and just give them a look. Give them a look. You get your first share free when you sign up with that link. And look, I definitely think it's something to ponder. Absolutely. So thank you all so much for watching. Let me hear your comments below, your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you aren't subscribed, please do so. Be well, and until next time.